Right, so the new tanks are in. Bit of a building site at the moment. We have here 6 by 18 by 2 with a 5-foot sump, and on the back wall we have a 5 by 18 by 2 foot with a 4-foot sump underneath. So there's lots of stuff knotted around. We're doing a lot of work at the moment. Yeah, so let's get showing you what's going on. Hi YouTube, it's been quite a while, but I'm going to try and get some more stuff done now. These next few videos I will be showing you how you set up a new tank with a sump, the plumbing, how I do it anyway, real sort of start to finish build. We're going to start with the 6 foot, 6 by 2 foot by 18 inch deep. We'll give that a go and yeah, see what you think. So let's start with the sump and the overflow arrangements. So how I have all my sump tanks is I have 3 holes drilled in the sump, as you can see. On the left is a shorter pipe, on the middle is the large or overflow pipe, and the small 1-inch pipe at the end is the return, which then tracks to the other side of the tank and comes back in as my return. So how the Herbie method works is this. So if you imagine in the Weir box in the corner, we have 2 pipes. We have one, which this one here, the tall one, this will be set as your emergency overflow. So that basically dictates the height of water in your tank. And the second pipe, which is about halfway down the weir, is the normal overflow, which flows down into the sump, takes all the waste and crap with it. Now that sits at such a level below the water level of the tank, so you don't get a whirlpool, there's no air being sucked in, and underneath the tank this shorter pipe has a valve on it which we can open or close. The more water we let through, the quicker it drains. Obviously the more we restrict the valve, the quicker it fills. Now we set that valve perfectly so the water level gets to right where we want it, right on the cusp of the overflow here, which is easier than it sounds. I'll show you what's under the tank now. So if you imagine what we just said, in the Weir box you can see I've put this big tall pipe here is my overflow pipe, and if you look through the grating, don't know how evident that is, but you can just see it here. So this up there it is, you can see my finger. So that is the water level of the tank I'll be maintaining, so it sits level with this black trim at the top. The second pipe is about halfway down, and if we go down, down, down to the sump, you see my main, my emergency overflow, and this is the controllable return with the gate valve. Now none of this is glued in place at the moment, it's just resting so I can show you. And they just return into this bottom chamber and spew out here. A load of dirt and mess comes around over into what will be 2 filter socks, and that takes out all the fine waste into a K1 chamber, which will be new for me, alpha grog, and return pump at the end. I just wanted to tell you guys about the alternatives to the method I've been showing for my sump overflow. So as I said, just to reiterate, I use the Herbie method, which is a downflow pipe, an overflow pipe with a valve to set your water level to create a silent overflow. Now that's not the only way to do it. If you've got a small weir and you can't accommodate 3 pipes, or what's very popular in the reef keeping scene is to use what's called a Durso. Now I'll show you what that is with some bits I've knocked up down here. So with Durso, still relies on a siphon overflow with gravity. So you've got your standpipe, it's a single pipe, that's the key thing, it's a single pipe. So that's in your weir. You then have a T-piece with an overflow and an air bleed valve in the top. And the way this works is slightly different. Your water level sits about here. Again, you can adjust it with the valve down here to set the water level in your weir where you want it to be. A bit of tweaking. Basically, water flows. If your water level is here, imagine, water is flowing down the pipe. Now, to stop that glugging noise that you get, imagine if you pour out a drum of water, or if water's decanting down a pipe without an air gap, you hear that glug, glug, glug. It's very loud. So you have an air valve, which you can open the top, you can open the air valve up. Again, you do this by, you play with it as it's setting, but you open that to create an air brake. Now that stops an airlock inside the U-bend, and you get a nice smooth flow of water, continual flow, and these are deadly silent. I mean, these are really quiet, which is why they're very popular tanks in your house. And they work really well. They obviously work very well as well. So that's the pros. The downsides, and the reason why I personally prefer the Herbie method, is that 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, this is your only overflow into your sump. Now, for whatever reason, keeping freshwater fish with plants and stuff, if that gets blocked with a leaf or something, if this overflow is blocked, your pump will keep filling the tank, your tank will overflow. Whereas with the Herbie method, remember I've got the down pipe and I've got the overflow pipe. Now that overflow pipe's a safety net. For whatever reason, if my down pipe blocks, water will go down the overflow into the sump. It's safe. I can't flood the house. I can't flood the garage. Now, with my method, the Herbie method, it's not as silent as say a Durso, but it's pretty much silent. It's pretty much perfect. Again, if you tweak that valve to get it just how you want it. So out of the two, again, hand on heart, the tank in my house is run the Herbie method. These two tanks out here will be on the Herbie method. I love them. The Durso are fantastic. When I used to work installing aquariums and building tanks, I must have put in hundreds and hundreds of setups with Dursos on. So you probably ask why I don't use them, but I've just gone through the pros and the cons. So hopefully that gives you a bit of idea of other methods. There are alternatives. You don't have to do what I do. I'm just happy. I like everything to be as simple as possible and as fail-safe as possible. So that's why I go standpipe, overflow, tweak valve, Herbie method. So you can look up the Durso or the Herbie and see what works best for you, whatever your space allows you to. But that's the alternative. So I thought I'd show you what I'm going to put in the sump. Now, I've got two types of filtration media here. In the first chamber, we are going to have a K1 chamber. Now, I've never used a K1 chamber before, but I do use this as a static media in my feed filter on the big tank and on the pond. So we're going to give that a go in this first chamber here, and in the second chamber to fill this box up. My absolute favourite media. I've been using it for 20 odd years now, and that is Alpha Grog. Cannot go wrong with that. So what we're going to do is going to set the sump up now, and I'll just do a quick time lapse.